Hey, hello everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for Access City Council. I'm your host, City of Las Vegas Communications Director David Riggleman. Coming up on this show, making crosswalks and school zones safer for our children, how the school district and the city are working together to make a difference. Joining us for this very important conversation is a community leader working hard to hear your concerns. Of course, it's our Ward 6 Councilwoman, Nancy Brune. Councilwoman, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, David.
How are you?
Good afternoon. Good.
We have a very good program here, very timely with school underway. We got some great guests on the show. We're going to jump right in on this. Of course, we're talking Ward 6 as well, and that's your neck of the woods out there, folks. If you don't know where Ward 6 is located, well, have no fear. We're going to show you on the map. It's the great northwest area of the valley, the northwest area of the city of Las Vegas. If you live in that area or work in that area, of course, you're in the city limits of the city of Las Vegas. And if you're a resident out there, you're represented on the city council by Nancy Brune, who we are talking with today. And Councilwoman, we'll jump right in here. Up first, the Clark County School District began a new school year back on August 11th. Getting students to and from school is a top priority, of course. Tragically, the community suffered a heartbreaking loss after Mackenzie Scott, a graduating senior from Arborview High, was hit and killed in a marked crosswalk this past May. Joining us with more on how the school district is working with the community to keep students safe is our Region Superintendent, Lindsay Tomlinson. And of course, she represents Region 1, which encompasses Ward 6. And Lindsay, thank you so much for being on the program.
You're welcome. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for being here. I know, Councilwoman, it's a pleasure having you here because you, the city, and the school district have worked very closely together to try to improve safety around our schools. And this is something that happened long before Mackenzie Scott, unfortunately, was killed.
Yeah, I know. Even 2 years ago, one of the CCSG police officers who's housed at Arborview came to one of my book of ethos and shared traffic safety concerns.
Yeah.
So the city worked really quickly to then put those rubber bumpers right there on Whispering Sands, and so
kept people from making U-turns. Exactly.
So we've
exactly
had
right.
a long, great collaborative relationship, and so yes, sort of a very sad, unfortunate incident, but I think it's only allowed us the opportunity to sort of figure out how we can work even more closely together.
Yeah, for sure. Lindsay, talk a little bit about, there are 4 region superintendents, correct, within the school district, and so your area is over the northwest. Tell us, your job encompasses, obviously, school safety is a big part of what you're involved with,
it sure
right?
does.
Yeah.
So we have 4 region superintendents, Region 1, 2, and 3, and then a transformation network. Region 1 is the current area that I am supporting, and my job is to directly supervise schools as well as school associate superintendents. So I have 6 school associate superintendents underneath me, and we are the school supervisors, which encompass not only supervising the principals, but also being in school, supporting instruction, and anything that's going on within and around our schools.
Yeah, for sure. Key. You know, I know the school district, the city are working hard to improve safety. At the end of the day, the person responsible for Mackenzie Scott's accident, at least who's been accused of that, police have said it was 3 times the legal limit. And it always makes me think that really at the heart of the issue is when people get behind the wheel, we've got to somehow get a message out to them that you got to be responsible, especially in and around a school zone. And I know that's one of the things we're working hard to try to do is get that message out there.
Yeah, I think that's a big message. Not only is just safety around schools with speeding and looking for crosswalks, but it's also watching for impaired drivers and just being alert as you're crossing the streets at any time of the day, whether that be before school, during school, and after school. That as you're crossing the street, we need to watch, for driving and people that are coming down the roads, but also we need to be careful as we're a driver in those areas, no matter what time of day, because it's not only during the school time that we have people crossing the streets around our schools.
Councilman, talk a little bit about that. Kids have practice, kids have band, they have things after school, before school. I mean, that's a key thing. It's not just during the hours you think, well, school. Mackenzie was hit at 11 in the morning going to get her cap and gown outside of the time that kids would normally be coming and going, but she was still, walking across the street when this happened.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I do think some of the safety measures that we put in place around Arborview will help regardless of the time, right? So we've lowered the speed limit from 45 to 35 all along Buffalo. I think anybody who's crossing, whether it's somebody with their dog crossing to go to a park, right, can use the blinking signal. Those aren't only operational during school time. So I think, in the painted crosswalk, I think all of those things, those visual indicators will help regardless of whether we're formally in school hours. But I wanted to go back to your point about changing behavior, because I think CCSD police is really ramping up efforts to change that behavior. So I think we were saying that the first day of school, CCSD police issued 207 citations.
Wow.
And Lindsay, what were you saying the number was after the first week back?
That's correct. So we have roughly had 900 people pulled over and at this time, and then about 360 violations. So have been cited for driving recklessly or whatever that would be around the schools. So we've had that many, and it's only right now currently, into the second week of school.
Yeah, that's amazing. Lindsay, is it people are in a hurry? Is that the biggest issue here? I mean, obviously Mackenzie Scott's situation was different, but for that many tickets, or is it because people are in such a hurry to get here and there, and they go through the school zone, or they're just not looking out for the students?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. It's in a hurry, not being patient, not understanding that it is school time. Also, not being alert, not looking down at your phones, or not being present, right? And I think that goes both ways, not just for drivers, but also as you're crossing streets. That's a big thing, as not being on your phone, looking down at your phone, and being alert of what's going on around you. So there's multiple reasons for traffic tickets. There's multiple reasons for being pulled over, but U-turns, any of those things in our school zones that could cause a potential accident.
Well, I know in a recent community meeting we had with Metro, we were talking about the need to educate kids about the traffic laws. Because I was with my teenage daughter yesterday, and we saw a teenager just walk in front of us, on their phone, and even my daughter said they didn't even look to see who was coming. And so I think, the kids need to, or students need to realize, like, there are rights and responsibilities on both sides. We just need to raise awareness and talk about the issue a little bit more about traffic
it's so true, Councilman. Anytime you're around a road, whether you're behind the wheel or you're a pedestrian or on a bike, and we're going to talk about e-bikes later on too, you got to pay attention. We're so distracted. Recently, Metro and all of the area police departments had a campaign to try to crack down on distracted driving. And I think that applies really to pedestrians as well. You got to pay attention, and that's, as a society, we just got to do better at that. These are the results of Mackenzie being a tragic result of all of that. So, you two have done a great job of listening to the community, both the school district, of course, the city, listening to the input. What are some of the things that you've heard, Councilman? Why don't you talk a little bit about that from the parents, from those, whether it be at Arborview or any of the schools within your ward?
I mean, I think traffic and pedestrian safety are a top priority. I love the way, there's been a lot of interest or demand for having crossing guards at the elementary, the middle school, and the high school level. I'm proud to say that the city has expanded. We already had them at the elementary school, but now we are expanding to middle school, and then we'll be rolling out crossing guards at 3 high schools, Arborview, which is in my area, as well as Palo Verde and Cimarron, where we did a pilot. But what I really appreciated is, in the absence of, because we said to them, we can't provide crossing guards at every school. We just don't have the resources. It's more expensive than you would think. I'd love to see parents come together. Krista Holloway and a group of volunteers started Walk Safely LV, and so parents are volunteering to fill in that gap to, again, protect the students and the folks walking to school. And so it feels like a bigger community, school district, city partnership. So I've appreciated, parents wanting to help also be part of the solution.
Right, exactly. And it obviously, what happened with Mackenzie Scott is a terrible tragedy. But even her family has said kind of the bright side in this is that now we're really talking even more and more about making a difference around the and to your point, Councilwoman, it's not just the school district's responsibility or the city's responsibility, but now the parents are getting involved too, understanding that we're all in this together. Talk a little bit about that, Lindsay. Yeah, Councilwoman touched on this. We're going to add crossing guards now at middle schools. We're in the process of hiring them, getting them hired up and out there. But the council's also looking at adding high schools in the next fiscal year, which is going to be a significant bump in resource. But could have a huge impact as well.
And I just want to acknowledge on behalf of Clark County how important and thankful we are that the city has done that for us, because it is something we want to work together. If this is not, our children are our most prized assets, right? And if we need to work together to help our communities. So even a couple things that we're trying to do is putting a school safety traffic working group together with municipalities and really strengthen how do we enforce some of these things? How do we get some new infrastructures in place? And then how do we roll this out to make it a bigger and better thing? Not only crossing guards, but crosswalks, right? So definitely the crossing guards are a huge, huge, amazing thing for us. Cimarron Memorial in Region 1 was one of them that piloted it last year. And it was such a benefit to our area. And so we are super thankful that's going to be continuing. But we know that 3 schools is great right now, but we do want to expand that, right? We want to continue to work together, but it's not just the city, and it's just not, it's just not the school district, it's all of us. We have to work together because we want to make sure our kids feel safe coming to and from school. So just making sure we're continually working together and helping our kids.
Yeah. Lindsay, we have just a couple minutes left with you. Is there anything that you want to be sure to add or tell the audience out there while we have you on the program? It's been a great discussion already, but is there anything else that you want to make sure that they hear?
Yeah, I just want everybody to know how important it is that we continue to work together for traffic safety. It's very important that it's not just the Clark County School District or it's not just the city of Las Vegas, that it's all of us coming together. And just as we're going out there and school is going to continue for the next few weeks, is really just making sure that we're watching in our school zones, that we're driving carefully, that we're not being distracted by cell phones, that we're not doing U-turns in our school zones, and then just not impaired drivers. Like, we cannot have those on our roads, because our kids deserve to come to school and be able to learn and not have to worry about coming to school.
Hear, hear.
If someone does see something,
that's what you were reading my mind, Councilman. That's the question I was going to ask.
An email or phone number that a parent can call to report a driver?
Yeah, so on our CCSD webpage, there are emails and phone numbers that you can access for our traffic group. We do have a specific Clark County School District Police Traffic Department.
That's cool.
So that is able to be accessed on our website.
Perfect. All right. Great question, Councilwoman. That's where I was going. Lindsay Tomlinson, thank you so much for being on the program with us. Best of luck. And I know you've got a willing partner here for sure. It looks like the school district is equally as enthusiastic about partnering with the city. So good things will happen.
It takes a village.
Exactly right. Exactly, Councilwoman. Again, Lindsay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilwoman, we have to take a quick break, but coming up, we've been talking about making sure that the city is listening. Well, you spoke and we did listen. That's what we're doing here to address the concerns about school safety. We're going to talk more about that right after this. Welcome back, everyone. We've been talking about student safety in crosswalks and in school zones. We're joined once again, of course, by Councilwoman Nancy Brune, and we have 2 special guests. First, the Assistant City Attorney for the City of Las Vegas, Carly Helbert, and the Assistant City Traffic Engineer from our Department of Public Works, Sean Robinson. Carly, Sean, thank you both so much for being here. Councilwoman, we're going to continue the discussion about safety in school zones. Maybe we begin with Sean, because the city has made some great changes out, especially around the Arborview area, but in other areas too. Maybe we start there. You had a special news conference to kick it off here about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we gathered 2 weeks ago just to talk about all of the sort of safety measures that we've all collectively implemented. The city with like the actual sort of hardscape, as well as recent legislation that Carly really helped shepherd.
Yeah, she sure did.
Up at Carson City. So it's a good time to be talking about it.
Sean, talk a little bit about the improvements that were made around Arborview and then also elsewhere around school zones. You guys take this stuff very seriously and work very hard to make it as safe as possible.
Yeah, certainly. So along Arborview, specifically on Buffalo, we went out and we put in a pedestrian activated flasher out there.
And there it is right there.
Yep. And so that pedestrian activated flasher will help people come across the street for Buffalo. And typically what we try to do before school starts is we go out and we investigate all the schools and we try to refresh all the pavement markings and the signs, and this is no different. We went out to Arborview and we completed those improvements as well. So we refreshed all of those improvements along Buffalo. As part of the flasher, we went out and we validated that the speed limits We actually updated the speed limits to be more consistent along Buffalo because there were certain segments that were inconsistent.
It would change, change depending on where you were, right?
Yep, just because of development and over time, these things can happen. So we went through and we modified the speed limits along that road to make it more consistent, and so it's 35. That specific zone in there is a school zone, and so it's a slower speed than 35 during the school and bell time. That was specifically what we did along Buffalo. However, on Whispering Sands, which is actually the front of the school, the entrance of the school, we received some concerns about U-turns. That's always a concern of U-turns in front of the schools.
Councilman, we were talking about that, yeah.
And so we had received concerns. We went out, we mobilized, and we did some U-turn prevention. We put bumper blocks that actually physically does not allow for people to make those U-turns. And then we had a partnership with our operations and maintenance team, and we went out and we modified some ramps along Whispering Sands as well. And we put a better crossing there with some additional markings for the front of that school there.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I want to brag on the city though, and Sean's team in particular, because a lot of times the city gets a bad rap for being slow or unresponsive. And I will tell you, every time I get a citizen concern about a traffic area, I just forward it immediately to Sean, and he responds. And last week, after we did all this stuff at Arborview, the parents emailed and said, "Hey, it's great what you've done, but the crosswalk down on Buffalo and Elkhorn needs repainting." And within 2 days, Sean had his team out there repainting that. And so I just, I can't say it enough that the city team has been so responsive on so many issues, but with respect to pedestrian traffic safety particularly.
Yeah, well, so well said, Councilwoman. It's so true. Sean, talk a little bit about, too, in situations like that, we'll respond right away. Refresh a crosswalk if a sign needs to be fixed or whatever. Your folks are always on top of that. But other issues, we need to put in speed humps or bumps or whatever it might be. Go through the process. It's not something that you can just throw out there. There's a process to make sure that you're not creating a problem by trying to fix a problem, right?
Right, and we see that a lot of the times that there's unintended consequences. We do one thing and then it triggers another thing. And so as far as school zones are a reference for this, we follow federal guidelines, and there's certain criteria that we have to follow that we implement, and we put that out there as far as those types of improvements. And certainly that is absolutely correct that we get a lot of outreach for speed humps and for studies. We do about 500 traffic studies a year.
That's what we're seeing here, Sean, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you. This is your team out conducting a study right now, out at Arborview, in fact.
Yep, so we do about 500 traffic studies a year. It's a lot of traffic studies that we go out and we implement. And so with that type of backlog, it can just take some time to get out there to do these types of things. And so we definitely work through and we triage these items. If they're safety related, we can go out, we can mobilize, we can go out and do that really quick. There's certainly opportunities, like Councilman was kind in giving us kudos for that we can go out, we can self-mobilize, we can do these striping improvements, we can do sign improvements pretty quick. We can do some quick wins that are out there. But as part of the traffic study, it can take anywhere from a few months, it can take anywhere from a year, depending on the significance of the study. And then based off of the results of that study, we can do short-term, middle-term, and long-term solutions. And so if we recognize that there's something of an issue, we want to go out, we want to mobilize, we want to do that as fast as we can to do those short-term wins to go out there. But if we recognize some more long-term improvements, we would try to program that for future capital improvement projects, which to the public may look like it takes a few years to actually do, but it just takes a little bit of time for us to program and get that funding and to be good stewards of the money to make sure that we do the right stuff.
Exactly. That very well said, Sean. Very great explanation about how the process works. Councilwoman, also too, we talked about this in the Mackenzie Scott situation specifically. The driver who hit her is accused of being 3 times the legal limit. And Carly, at the end of the day, it really boils down to the responsibility of drivers, pedestrians, all of us doing our part as well. And from your perspective, the city attorney's office, drunk driving is obviously a big concern in our valley, in school zones and everywhere else. And you've worked hard to put some more teeth into DUI legislation in the state of Nevada to maybe hopefully deter some of these very things from happening.
Absolutely. You know, DUIs continue to plague this community. We had 10,000 criminal filings in 2024, and so
that's just in the city alone.
That's in the whole state of Nevada, but most of
okay.
it occurs in Clark County.
Yeah,
and so we have about,
down here, sure.
Yeah. So again, it's facing the community, these people that choose to drink and then get behind the wheel and drive. And so we reached out to Senator Steinbach to pass SB 309 to give some more teeth to some penalties. And it started off as quite a big bill, and we passed what we could. It's sort of the first shot in what's going to be many legislative attempts to increase penalties. But we went after kind of the worst of the worst, the people with the really high blood alcohol levels, the people who have felony DUIs, and the people who have committed DUIs and been convicted before, to really put some penalties in place for those individuals.
Yeah, make it really, if you're a repeat offender, this is going to be not good for you. So
absolutely. Again, we got what we could out of the legislature. You know, when we can do something, we will. But we went after the worst of the worst, doubling the minimum custody time for a DUI second offense, closing the felony loophole, so that if you've already been sort of convicted of a felony and you pick up another DUI, you now have 2 felonies. And then lowering the blood alcohol level for an evaluation, saying, okay, maybe this person, this first-time offender, needs counseling. And so we give the people counseling the first time, but you pick up a second, you're going to do jail.
Yeah.
Well, I want to sing Carly's praises because tougher penalties for DUIs has been one of my priorities since taking office,
sure
and Carly's been an amazing partner in that journey. And I will say there were several pieces of legislation addressing DUIs, and the only one that got past SB 309 was the one that Carly worked on, and she and the city of Henderson really supported Senator Steinbach. And so I'm grateful and proud of the work that you did, because I think it is so needed in our community.
Yeah, so true, Councilwoman. Carly, I've heard people say, oh, DUIs, they just get a slap on the wrist and turn them loose. How would you respond to that based on SB 309 now?
Absolutely not. We have never just slapped people on the wrist, and we don't intend to in the future. We take these cases very seriously, and actually we're prohibited from dealing them down to anything other than a DUI unless there's an evidentiary or witness issue. And so, especially in the city of Las Vegas, we take DUIs very, very seriously, as I think the entire community should.
And I've mentioned this at the beginning, but Carly's team is responsible for prosecuting people in the city who are driving drunk and commit other crimes within the city, but she heads up that unit, the criminal division of our city attorney's office. So, well said. Carly's team doesn't like to take it easy on anyone who's committed a crime that needs to face the consequences for.
Well, and we see what happens, right? Like, you know, what happened to Mackenzie Scott has, you know, cut that young life very tragically short, and her whole family's been affected, and the community, right? I mean, to see the parents come out and support and roll up their sleeves and get involved. So it just shows you it's not just the person behind the wheel, but unfortunately there can be many more far-reaching implications because of what can happen.
Yeah. So true. And Carly, I agree with the Councilwoman. You and your team do an amazing job. You have an incredible caseload, and I know you're looking out for the betterment of the community, and I'm glad you're on our side. So
glad to be here.
Carly Helbert, Sean Robinson, thank you so much for being on the program. Really appreciate both of you and the work that you're doing. You are making a difference in the community along with you, Councilwoman. So we're going to have to say goodbye to you two, but Councilwoman, we got one more thing to do here. We're going to take another quick break, but when we return, we're going to tell you about some exciting events, as the Councilwoman said, coming up in Ward 6. They're pretty cool. It's right after this. Thanks for staying with us, everyone. Time now to talk about some great events coming up in Ward 6. Councilwoman, hard to believe, but we're already talking about 9/11 again. It seems like it's another anniversary coming up on us. And you have a special event that's going to wrap around that.
Our next event is September 13th. I think families should just plan to come out to Floyd Lamb Park and spend the whole day with us. So from 8 to 10, we're going to be doing a 9/11 remembrance ceremony, remembering those who lost their lives on 9/11 and our brave first responders. Brief ceremony. We're going to be planting about 200 to 400 flags at the park.
That's great.
And then we're going to follow that with a cleanup of Floyd Lamb Park, really focusing on the discarded fishing wire that's been scattered in trees.
Exactly.
And then after that, we're going to be encouraging people to come over and participate in the third annual Bio Blitz.
Now you got to tell everybody what a Bio Blitz is.
It's really, you know, talking about nature, talking about the bees, looking at how important bees are to our ecosystem. I think they're going to be, I heard or saw that you can bring in your old plants and take home some new plants. It's really STEM focused, but it's fun for the entire family, kids, adults. And so I know we had a big crowd there last year.
Sure did.
Yeah, yeah.
And good for you, because Floydland Park at Tule Springs is such a treasure. It's in the city limits, but you feel like you're in, you know, the country, literally. So,
yeah.
And the Bio Blitz is a big hit, and I love that there's such a learning element that people really embrace too. So
there's some great community vendors out there offering information, arts and crafts activities. So it's fun for the whole family. Lots of family-friendly activities taking place at Floydland Park on September 13th, starting at 8 and ending at noon. And there'll be food trucks there as well.
Outstanding. And also, speaking of September 13th, you have a wonderful event going to take place at the Centennial Hills Amphitheater, your other gem there.
Yes, yes. So after you work and have fun, come over. You can relax and spend the evening under the stars listening to the Fat Cat Swinger live. This is an 11-piece band coming from California. They've performed with Christina Aguilera at Disney resorts, and so I've heard it's kind of like Michael Bublé meets Bruno Mars. And so I think there'll be songs that everybody can sing along, Disney songs, but also other sort of pop songs, and so I think it'll be a great sort of end of concert or end of the season before we head into the cooler temperatures in November.
It's going to be 7 to 9, and Councilwoman, the cost to get into this is
free. Yes.
That's your tax dollars
All
at
of
work.
the events that day are free, and I think it's important to remember that the city works really hard to bring free, family-friendly, fun events to all the wards throughout the city.
All right, so just remember, September 13th, everyone. That's the day that it's all happening, Floydland Park, and then later that evening at Centennial Hills Amphitheater. And if you've never been out there, it's really great. Grass Hill, a great place. There's a shell there for the stage. It's
dog friendly.
Dog friendly.
We'll have food trucks there as well.
Yeah, it's a great way to spend an evening. So, Councilwoman, we're just about out of time here, so I want to tell everybody out there, hey, we always want to hear from you. So if there's something you'd like to share with Councilwoman Nancy Brune, you can give her a call at 702-229-5463. You can visit her website, subscribe to her newsletter, or email her at ward6@lasvegasnevada.gov. And Councilwoman, I know people use all of those. That QR code is how to subscribe to your newsletter, too, so if people get that, we'll have that at the end of the show as well. So.
Awesome.
And then they can follow along. All right. Great show. Really good show today.
Yeah.
I'll have you back in 6 weeks. We'll talk about all the other happenings in Ward 6. And in the meantime, everyone, don't miss our next show beginning on August 28th with Ward 1 Councilman and Mayor Pro Tem Brian Knudsen. City of Las Vegas TV is streaming now. You can find all of our programming on YouTube at City of Las Vegas TV, or you can watch online at lasvegasnevada.gov/connect. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will see you next time around.